All right. What we're going to cover now. So we've talked about One America, continue submitting business there, but know that you have options. Through our IMO and through our work with 3Mark, we have a number of different options for you as well. A lot of you were probably, I'm guessing, on the call with Nathan and Scott Myers last Wednesday, where they went through 3Mark's website, some underwriting things. They went pretty quickly, I know, talked more high level. So I wanted to take some time to dive a little bit deeper, do a little bit more hands-on specific. All right, here's how you run a quote. Here's how you submit an app. Just so you are capable and you are able to submit an app if and when you are ready. So I'm going to share my screen. And this is the 3Mark website. So it's literally just 3mark.com. And if you have not created an account on 3Mark's website, that is the first thing that you should do. So you're going to go to this register here and then fill that out so that you can get full access to the 3Mark site. All right. 3 things that I'm going to cover today. Very briefly, we're going to talk about some contracting items. 2, I'm going to show you how to run some quotes. And 3, the e-app process. It's very similar to what you're used to. There are some slight changes, so I just want to make sure that everybody is aware. So first, once you log into the 3Mark site, this is what you'll see. As far as contracting, most of you, who's on this call? Most of you have started the process of contracting with 3Mark. Some of you have not, which is fine. I would say that's our initial next step after this call is to start that process of getting you contracted with 3Mark. So probably the way that most of you have started this is I have sent you a link to a system called SureLC. It's an online contracting system where you can input all of your information just one time, and all of that can be portrayed, given, shared with all of the different carriers. You don't have to send it to each different carrier. Another way that you can access SureLC is right here in this contracting box. So you're going to click that, and then you can click right here where it says contract online with SureLC. You don't have to memorize this. I'm happy to send you this link as well, but just want to show you this is how you can get to it. So it's going to have you create an account. You're going to get an account with 3Mark Financial. It's going to look like this. You'll create an account. Once you've created it, this is what you'll get. This is what it'll look like. You're going to fill in all of these parts over here on the left side. Super self-explanatory, but if you have questions or need help with anything, I am happy to walk you through that. The main thing I wanted to show you on here is this contracting requests. So you creating your SureLC site and your account and filling in all this information, that's step 1. Then you need to request contracts with different carriers. So as you've probably heard, 3Mark has selling agreements with, I don't even know, 80, 100 carriers, a lot. You may be tempted to apply with as many as possible just because you never know. I might want this company and I might want this company. My encouragement would be have it be 3 or fewer. Ideally, I would probably say start with 1, maybe even 2. Get to know those companies, get to know those products. If you know a tiny bit about 80 different carriers, that's not a great help to your clients. become an expert and get to know the products and the process for a few different carriers to start, and then you can expand from there. So it's super easy. You'll just go to this create request, and then you'll choose the carrier and sign the application from there. That's all I want to go through on contracting. We can have individualized conversations about where you are on status and process. I will tell you this. Oh, maybe it's not on here. One thing that's different from the world of One America and the kind of home main flagship carrier. So with One America, you submit your contracting, they run a background check, you wait for them to give you an agent number, then you access their portal, then you can submit an app. With 80% of the carriers through the IMO, you don't need to do all that beforehand. You don't need to submit a contracting application until you have a client's application to submit. I call it just-in-time contracting. So if you have an application to submit and you realize, oh, hey, I'm not appointed with that company yet, not the end of the world. I'm going to show you how you can run quotes. And it may turn out that a quote you want is for a company you're not appointed with yet, not the end of the world. I know I'm saying that out of the other side of my mouth when I say only get appointed with a couple carriers, but you'll learn the balance. It's a balance that you will learn. All right, so that's contracting. I guess really quickly, I'll just pause if there are any kind of general contracting questions.
I was just gonna say, if you're like, Colleen says pick one or two, well, I don't even know which one or two to pick. We are happy to help you pick, give a recommendation based on your business model, what you're looking for, etc., breadth of products or what have you.
Yep, agree. Cool. All right. I'm going to move on to quoting. So on this 3Mark site, when you get in here, this is probably what you're going to use this for most, is my guess. So you're going to click here in this icon for online quoting. And you heard Nathan talk about last week, all these different quoting software tools. Keep it simple. Always use iPipeline when you can. iPipeline is going to be used for term and GUL. Any other illustrations, so whole life, universal life, whether it's straight UL, IUL, those are going to be done on this WinFlex software tool. This software is a little bit more in depth. I'm not going to go into that today. If and when we get to the point where you need to run a permanent illustration, you and I will get connected and we'll do that together. But for any term, you're always going to want to use iPipeline. Don't worry about Vital Quote. Nathan said you can also use that for term, but don't even use that. You want to use iPipeline because then you can take that and put it right into the e-app. So I'm going to go into iPipeline. This is going to be similar to what you guys are used to with One America. So I'm just going to go through a really quick example. So let's say I've got Sarah, she's 35 years old. She comes to me asking for just a couple term quotes. She wants a 20-year for 500,000. She wants a 20-year for 750, and she wants a 10-year for $1 million. Great. We'd love to help you out, Sarah. We're going to choose term. She said what? She wanted a 10-year and 2 20-year. So we can run these at the same time. She wanted a 500,000. She wanted a 750. What was the other one I said? Million. So we can run all of these at one time. Down here, as Nathan talked about last week, you can get into kind of more specific detail so that you can run a more accurate quote if you want. Put in their height, weight. You can add additional health details like what's their blood pressure, what's their cholesterol, what medications are they taking, etc. I'm just going to go, I want to see what she's going to get for preferred, non-tobacco, standard plus, and standard. I'm not totally sure what she'll be, but I want to see all the different options. So as simple as that, that's all the information that you need to put in. And I'm going to hit get quotes. All right. So it comes up with a few so 480 results came up from that. I kind of want to pare it down and identify what we're really looking for. So first of all, I want to change how we're viewing it. She told me she wants to pay monthly. So I want to be able to view the monthly premium. So I'm going to change that. Secondly, she said the 10-year that she was looking for was just for $1 million. So I only want to look at $1 million. So 10-year, $1 million for preferred non-tobacco would be $21.22 a month at AIG. We can see all the other carriers, all pretty similar in pricing. Different ratings. This is where you can see all that. She wanted to look at the 20-year. So she said for a 20-year, she wanted both a 500,000 and a 750,000 option. So now I can look at that. So $22 a month for preferred, protective, all these different carrier options here. Yes.
Can I ask a quick question? Does it show you the carriers that you are appointed to, or does it show all of them?
It shows all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of these carriers do just-in-time contracting. So even if you're not appointed with them, you could submit a contracting request at the same time as you submitting this application. But know that, Jason, if you wanted to, if you're only contracted with a handful of carriers, you can choose, I'm contracted with Foresters, I'm contracted with Emeritus, I'm contracted with AIG. Those are the only ones I want to see. So you can change that to be kind of your personal view for the carriers that you're appointed with.
Cool. Thank you, Colleen.
One other thing that I'm going to show that I'm a little hesitant to show, but I think it can be helpful. If you do have a client who's a little more, they like to shop around. They're literally just looking for the cheapest term that exists. You can choose all these carriers here, and then you can download a comparison report for them. So this is something that you can give them to say, all right, I ran these for all of these different carriers. You're just looking for the cheapest. Here are all the prices for all these carriers, maybe. Any questions while this is going? Okay, usually doesn't take this long.
Do you think the Celtics or the Warriors will win tonight?
Warriors.
Go green.
Wow. All right, so this is what that report will look like. So this so $500,000. I mean, it's something that you can show the client. Why I say I hesitate to show you this is just because sometimes this is a 27-page document. Sometimes too much information can overwhelm a client and then they just do nothing. So often it's best for us to give them, at most 2 or 3 options. Sometimes this can just overwhelm them, but for those clients that are literally just looking for the cheapest, they're going to shop around. This is something that you can show them. Questions on term quoting? Super easy. Why I suggest, or that I highly recommend, that you use iPipeline is because then you can just go right to the application from here. So we can see here with this, with all of these, there's this apply button right next to it. So if you decide I want to do this AIG, I like AIG, I'm going to go ahead with the application from there. This is a screen that's going to pop up and you'll have 3 different ways that you can do the application. The e-app, that's the typical iPipeline application that we're used to. It's going to tell you whether or not they're eligible for accelerated underwriting for that specific carrier. And depending on what the answer to that is, that will take you through the application. This drop ticket, I have mixed feelings about it. So essentially what this is, this drop ticket does not require any signature from the client. It does not require any authorization from the client. All this is you're filling out the client's information. You're sending it to the company. So you're sending it to AIG. Somebody at AIG is going to call your client and take the application. To me, as a control freak, I want to do the application myself. I don't want somebody calling my client and they're going to have to chase them because my client's not going to answer a number they don't recognize. To me, an e-app is probably the best way to go, but know that drop ticket is an option if you're looking to get moving quickly. Paper form, don't use these unless you're Jeff Drucker. Sorry, Josh. All right, so I'm going to do the e-app. So I'm just going to hit start e-app. I will say, in Jeff's defense, that's still up, there are, I'd say less than 5. There are some carriers that still don't have iPipeline set up with their platform. So there are times where you may need to do paper forms. The other time when you might need to do a paper form is for those companies that require what's called pre-appointment. So like One America, they require you to do a background check, get your agent number before you can even do anything. But for the most part, use e-app. So this is going to take me similar to what you're used to at One America. It's going to take you to that. You're going to fill all this out. You're going to go right into the e-app. And again, it's what you're used to. You can look here. For not every carrier has this, but a lot of carriers will put their underwriting guides right here so that you can see kind of what their underwriting process is. And this is also why I say pick 1 or 2 carriers. You're not going to be able to remember and memorize all the different underwriting nuances for 25 different carriers. Pick a couple of carriers, get to know them really well, and then you need to branch out, that is still an option. Another reason that I say only choose a handful of carriers, this is a really long, not really long, this is a somewhat long application. I have Christina as well. We have learned the One America application. I could do that application without even looking at a screen. If you can get to the point where you or your staff or people in your office can do these applications quickly, the easier it's going to be for you, the more productive your practice is going to be. So I actually, I already did a, I already filled out an application for Sarah Smith, just so you could see what it looks like and you don't have to watch me type. So similar to One America, I'm just going to go into view my cases. Now we can see up here, this is for 3 marks. So this has all of the 3 mark cases that I've been working on. So I want to work on Sarah's term. Oh, wrong one. Oops. Sorry. I don't know why this thinks that I'm Dennis. I'm not. This is the one. So same as what you're used to with One America. On the left side, each of the, you'll get a green check mark when you finish each of these sections. Once I get to the end, same thing again. I'm going to lock it. And then continue to the signature process just as you're used to. Oh, I want to do face-to-face. I have her driver's license information, and then you're just going to do the e-signature from there. And again, they don't actually have to sign anything. You don't need a signature pad. You're just checking the box. I'm not actually going to do it, but if you did, then you would sign as the agent and then you would submit it and it would get submitted to 3 mark. And then 3 mark will scrub it. They will look through the application, make sure that nothing is missing, and then they will submit it to the carrier. So in this case, they will submit it to AIG. So very similar to what you're used to. Christina will still be involved. She still has access to view your pending cases. That's another reason why it's really important that you use the IGO from the 3 mark site. You have the option, once you get appointed with a carrier, you're going to get access to their specific portal. So if you get appointed with AIG, you're going to get a login and you're going to get access to go onto AIG's portal. You will then have the ability to submit an application from their portal, but don't do that. If you do that, 3 mark doesn't know it exists. We don't have the ability to track it. We don't have the ability to help you process it. So if you do it through the 3 mark site here, so through the 3 mark IGO pipeline, then we'll have access to it. We'll be able to help you through it. Jason, you got a question? No, for some reason you're like highlighted. Any questions? Yes, Dustin.
Just from my understanding, 3Mark is not an insurance company. It's a platform to process a go-between, if you will, between us and the carriers. So an intermediary
Yes,
for easier processing and efficiency.
yes.
Okay.
So 3Mark, 3Mark is essentially the liaison, or they're who's working with each of the carriers.
And then one other quick thing, we'll talk later about it, but just to bring, for some reason, I had a registration with them, and then I was trying to get appointed with Mutuals of Omaha, and then it just keeps switching my login, and I've had to put in like 12 different passwords. So I'll have you take a look with that. It's giving me static. And then when I applied for North American, I'm sure I'll see the whole case file has just kind of disappeared off of my dashboard. So
Okay.
just some things to come later.
Yep. So as you have individual questions, I'm happy to look at those with you and see where things stand. So we saw on this contracting, man, this is so slow. On this contracting page, you saw Alexandra. I work closely with Alexandra. She is the contracting person for 3Mark. She is the one who communicates with each of the carriers. So Dustin, you're saying what's happening with North American. I'm going to go to Alexandra. She has access to view some more detail with each of the carriers. She can say, oh, this is what they're waiting for. This is what they need. And we'll go from there.
And then just so I know for later in the future, is this an open door policy where I can contract Alexandra as well too? Or is that something where it's better just to leave it with, you have a relationship with her?
You can.
Okay.
I would say copy me on emails just so I'm in the loop, so I can kind of, she works with so many different agencies that sometimes have different structures and different ways of doing business. So if I can kind of help, what's the word that I'm looking for? Translate some of the things that maybe she may not understand a question you're asking. I can kind of help.
Fair enough. Play liaison, if you will. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Colleen, go ahead.
Sorry,
One.
yes.
Yeah, please.
What is the commission structure with this IMO? Like, what do we get?
I will send you those. We have we have master lists for both life and annuity, and I will send you those.
Okay, thank you.
So what I was going to show you, Dustin, was these are all of the carrier options that you have. So 3Mark is the one that has relationships with all of these carriers.
Okay.
This is a good place to go to if you're looking for, right, there are so many carriers, which ones have whole life? Here's the list of those that offer whole life. Which ones offer an IUL? Here are the ones that offer an IUL.
No, I like 3Mark. We'll just get my login squared away because it's actually laid out pretty efficiently for the most part. So that's cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Colleen, what happens if you click on the products and solutions tab there? Okay, so we can see there some of the different types of opportunities. You know, they also come up under that carrier thing that you have on the screen right now, but that gives a big picture sense of where we could go with this.
Yep. So if you want to see specifically life insurance, this is a good thing to be aware of as well. This can show you which carriers have accelerated underwriting available. Again, I'll reiterate, get to know 1 or 2 or 3 carriers really well. Yes, Dustin.
Oh, sorry, just one more general question. When do you find, as in your professional opinion, that it's accelerated underwriting is needed? And what is it exactly? Is that they just take a quicker urine and blood analysis, they push it through? And when is that? When would a client need that, I guess, is when is
So
that?
accelerated underwriting is a quicker process that would not require blood, urine, or a paramed.
Okay. Okay.
So one of those exam companies would not go out to your client's house. They would then, it's different There are a few different ways that carriers do accelerated underwriting. Some of them will have the client do a phone call and have an interviewer ask them questions.
Okay,
Some companies will have them do an online form where they will essentially answer the same questions, but they just they answer them online. Some carriers literally have nothing. You fill out the app, you submit it.
wait.
That's for very small face amounts.
Okay.
But to answer your question of when would you use it, it
Mhm.
depends on the client. And this is
Okay.
where your art of field underwriting skills are going to come in handy. So learning the questions to ask a client, if they've smoked in the last 24 months, 9 out of 10 times they're going to be knocked out. If they have any sort of history of cancer, diabetes, bigger diagnoses, they're going to be knocked out. Learning to ask those types of questions is how you're going to learn whether or not you should put somebody through accelerate.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. You don't have to get too far into that. No, thank you. Good explanation.
Kristen asked, does 3Mark have a pre-underwriting form to help find carriers, for example, a client with a DUI looking for a term policy? Yes, so they have I don't know if it's a software or a tool called X-Ray. So here in underwriting resources is called X-Ray Pre-Underwriting Assessment Tool. You have to request access to this. If you want it, I can get you connected with the person that sets that up. Essentially what it does is you're going to put in the client's information, their health information, their background information, etc. It's going to kind of create a profile of the client. It will send it to the underwriting team at 3Mark, and then they will, for lack of a better term, shop it out for which carriers would take that type of a client. I've only done it once. I got an answer less than 24 hours later. So it's pretty efficient. It is an option out there. Other questions? One last thing I will just say, I'm not going to go through it right now, but we've been talking about how Christina will have access to your cases. We'll still have access to help you with those. You will have access to all of your cases. So you have cases with AIG, with Pac Life, with Transamerica, with Mutual of Omaha. You have cases all over the place. 3Mark will aggregate all of those for you in this system called Smart Office. So you can have all of your pending cases in one place. Christina will be able to view those. You can see what requirements are needed.
Who's my best resource for help? You or Christina, or is it segmented by?
Depends on what the question is.
So contracting is you, illustration is more her, or processing is more her?
Yes. So once you, Christina is still learning 3Mark. None of us are an expert on any of the carriers by any means. But yeah, she can help with pipeline questions, quoting questions, e-app questions, things like that.
Okay.
Other questions? Past my time. All right. No other questions? Say-
No, and I listened to on recording the one from last week, which was kind of clunky. And I know that because of the recording stuff or whatever, but I know that Bo Bloden is the speaker for next week, who is 3 Mark's annuity expert. And we still do not do enough annuities. That is just easy money if you can talk that language. We're at a time in just great economic upheaval, stock market going crazy, and there's lots of people who have 401k withdrawal privileges, in-service withdrawal, which is what creates more dollars into annuities than anything. Coming from 401ks, they're still employed there. They say, man, I want to harvest 100 grand of what I've got in there to be safe. I'm going to put it in this fixed indexed annuity, or I'm going to put it in a variable annuity with a downside or whatever. We have more people quitting jobs than ever before out of this pandemic and the new world. There's just continued reports. 4 million people a month are quitting jobs because I don't want to do work like I used to. I like this. I want a place that I can work remotely. The #1 search term on ZipRecruiter is work remote. So it means a lot of people are leaving jobs and have little 401ks from their former job that easily go into annuities. Can go other places, could go into mutual funds, but everyone here on this call is licensed, whether fixed for fixed annuities. So my encouragement is get on next week, learn that topic. It all starts with Fact Finder. It all starts with finding out where a person's at, where they're going in their journey, asking really good questions, asking the question behind the question, and then bringing somebody in for joint field work. There's my commercial for next week.
That's a good commercial.
Yeah.
Unless you're at Tesla, then you have to go back